Out of those characters that you just mentioned, which one of those is your favorite?
I think the Nazgul, to be honest, they're just fucking sick looking. Fucking
Yeah.
just the way they're dressed and just the way they're depicted in these movies. These just like dark characters that you fear. For them to chase Frodo all the time, stuff like that. Like that's definitely one of my like favorite just characters in general for the franchise.
This scene makes my wife cry every year just because of
Mm.
how Frodo looks so sad once Gandalf drops and Frodo
Uh,
screams out, "No!" I guess seeing it for the first time in 2001, you're like, no way, Gandalf dies. Welcome, everybody, to Saving Point Podcast. On this channel today, we're going to be talking about Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, the first movie in the trilogy. If you have not gone back and watched our first part of this series, we talked about the complete guide to Lord of the Rings. We talked about the history, the characters, the location, all that good stuff. So please be sure to go back and check that out. Before we get into this episode, if you're new here, my name is Willie. I'm one of your hosts, and your other host on this channel is Eduardo. How you doing, man?
what's going on, man? How we doing today?
Oh man, we're here at it again, man. We have a major episode. We have a mouthful of topics that we need to get into. This is going to be definitely a longer episode. So for y'all watching, please check out the description box. We have timestamps in that box for y'all to jump to whatever section that you want to hear most. But yeah, man, we have a very important episode, I think, in store for us.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, we put out the kind of complete guide episode, which is like really fun to do. If you guys haven't checked that out, please do. And then today, yeah, we're going to be talking about the Fellowship of the Ring movie, breaking down pretty much the whole movie, giving you guys a bunch of kind of just little things and info about like behind the scene things, awards that the movie's won, and a whole lot more. So it's going to be a pretty fun show to do today.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, just like you said, we're going to be breaking down every major scene that comes into this film. We're going to be breaking down a little bit more extra than you would think. We're going to be talking about the weapons of each character. We're going to be talking about the major scenes, like I just said, the special effects, the makeup, the our personal favorite scenes. We'll be talking about that, and then a little extra behind the scenes information that Eduardo was so generous to research and bring to you all today. So that should be very, very fun, man. I'm excited, Eduardo.
Yeah, me too, man. Like I said, it's definitely a deeper dive into uh, this movie than we've done with our other reviews and stuff. But like I said, Lord of the Rings is our favorite franchise, so we wanted to do this big blow off thing for the whole trilogy for you guys. And then yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.
Absolutely, man. With that being said, before we get started, I want to encourage you all to go to X, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Please follow us there. Give a like, comment on the videos, on the shorts, all that good stuff. Give us anything that you want us to talk about in the future. Please let us know. We're open to ideas and all that good stuff. Please subscribe here on YouTube. We would definitely much appreciate your support, and please share the channel. With that being said, we're going to jump right into it, Eduardo. We have a whole list of chapters and sections that we need to get to, so I think we should just jump right in. Are you ready?
I am ready, man.
Awesome, man. Well, the first thing, for those of you that don't quite know what Lord of the Rings is or what the Fellowship of the Ring is or what it's about, it is the first movie in the trilogy. It is the first kind of it gives you pretty much everything you need to know. It kind of sets the tone for Lord of the Rings and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of a summary of just what this movie is about. So, the Fellowship of the Ring centers on Frodo Baggins. He is a hobbit, of course, and he is known as he carries the One Ring, which he got from his uncle Bilbo. This ring holds immense power and is sought by the Dark Lord Sauron, who wishes to conquer Middle-earth. Frodo must embark on a dangerous quest to destroy the ring in the fires of Mount Doom, where it was forged. Frodo is joined by a diverse group of companions, collectively known as the Fellowship of the Ring. The group includes Gandalf, a wise wizard, Aragorn, the heir to a fallen kingdom, Legolas, an agile elf, Gimli, a sturdy dwarf, a fellow hobbit, and fellow hobbits Sam, Merry, and Pippin. They set off from the peaceful Shire, navigating through stunning landscapes such as the Misty Mountains and the ancient forest of Lothlorien. As they journey, the Fellowship faces numerous challenges, including attacks from Sauron's minions, the Nazgul, and other dark forces. Along the way, tensions rise within the group as the burden of the ring affects each member differently. Themes of loyalty, courage, and the struggle against corruption are explored, leading to sacrifices and difficult choices. The adventure sets the stage for an epic battle between good and evil, leaving audiences eagerly anticipating the next chapter in this grand saga. So that's just a little summary of what this movie is about. There's a lot that goes into this film, and we're not going to be able to cover every single thing because it's a 3-hour long film, and it's going to take us all day to cover everything that is included into this film, but we're going to do our best to give you all the important information. Anything you want to add, Eduardo, on the summary of the Fellowship of the Ring?
No, I think you nailed it. And like I said, yeah, when rewatching them again and all that type of stuff, like even doing like you said, the research and stuff for it, it's a lot, man. And then like there's even things that we're probably, like I said, we're not gonna be talking about, but that when we're watching it, I'm like, it's like should we not, just to add things and stuff like that, because like, but then I'm like, damn, it's just a lot. Like we can, like I said, I'm sure eventually we'll probably come back around and talk about Lord of the Rings again, and then maybe just talk about stuff that we haven't, we didn't mention on this one or something like that. But there's definitely so much, and then like I said, talk with like a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and a lot of stuff that went into the movie. Like it's definitely we can be here all freaking day talking about this. But like I said, we narrowed it down to I think a pretty good show for you guys. So hopefully. I think we nailed pretty much, like you said, all the big things and stuff that we really want to talk about anyway. So
yeah, for sure, man. Yes, I hope you all enjoy it. I think our next chapter, which we're going to get into, is all the weapons of each characters. Each one of these characters have different weapons and different strategies and just different things that they bring to the realm of Middle Earth. And I love how Tolkien kind of created each one of these characters. They're all different. They all have their own different styles, their different ways. And I think we really need to showcase some of that stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to Eduardo over here. Eduardo, how about you go ahead and tell us your list of characters and the weapons and what is all involved and what they do.
Yep. So we're going to be talking about, like, again, this is the review for the Fellowship movie. So we're going to be talking primarily just Fellowship. Other characters were kind of introduced in Fellowship of the Ring. And then, like I said, again, like no particular order of, who showed up in the movie first or anything like that. Just kind of just a breakdown of some of the characters and kind of like their weapons and stuff like that. So the first character I want to talk about is Pippin. He is a hobbit, of course, member of the Fellowship on the quest with Frodo. So he has like a like Gondorian blade, I guess is really like a dagger's kind of the name of it. Of course, like hobbits are very little people, so the swords that they give them aren't very big or grand or anything like that. And then the next character is Merry, who also is giving a Gondorian blade dagger by Aragorn in the movie. And then later, though, in the movie, well, not later in the movie, but later on in the second movie, really, he was given a blade by Arwen when they were in Rohan. It's kind of like a short sword kind of thing that he gave him, that she gave him. And then in the next character I want to talk about is Isildur. He is so he has like a long sword is the name. Well, the name of the sword is Narsil, and that's the sword that he used to get the ring off of Sauron in the beginning of the movie, and then it shatters. So in the Fellowship of the Ring, it's referred to as the broken shards of Nazgul because of it when it shattered during that part of the movie. so that shows up later on, kind of halfway through the movie. And then the fourth character I want to talk about is the Nazgul. So there's a total of 9 Nazgul. Their primary weapons are like specialized like steel swords. They also it's like a Morgul blade is kind of like the name of it, I guess. And then the Witch King, the leader of the Nazgul, has a different weapon. It's called a spiked mace. So you get to see that as well. And then you don't really see this so much in the movies, but I'm sure it's more explained in like the books. But they have this kind of like aura of fear that they wield, called like Black Breath, which kind of induces fear, terror, like sickness, and despair to enemies, in which they use before they go into combat. And then the fifth character would be the one I'm talking about would be Saruman. Of course, he's a wizard, so he has the great powerful wizard staff that he wields, along with like voice magic. He's able to speak magic and stuff like that. So that's kind of what he has. The next one is the Urukai. I'm not sure how to pronounce this specific weapon, but scimitar is kind of like that heavy single blade, broad blade with like the blunt hook tip at the end of it, that you see them carrying around. Along with that, they carry crossbows, pikes, shields, and these like berserker swords. And then the ones who kind of accompany the Urukai are the orcs. And then they also use those like scimitar swords, along with like rusty axes and like these spear like pole arms is what they call them. So those are kind of pretty much all the characters that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, man, that was a good kind of summary of all their weapons and their styles. Out of fun little, let's do a little question for you. Out of those characters that you just mentioned, which one of those is your favorite? Just out of those that you just talked about.
The ones that I mentioned, I think the Nazgul, to be honest, they're just fucking sick looking.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they're like corrupt kings who fucking serve fucking Sauron, but like just the way they're dressed and like just the way they're depicted in these movies, these just like dark characters that you fear, and like what I mean. So like they're just dark characters. So for them to chase Frodo all the time, stuff like that, like that's definitely one of my like favorite just characters in general for the franchise.
Yeah, man, I have to probably agree. That character is just so epic, man. I mean, it's so like scary. It's so like creepy. It's like they're like hooded and this long ass sword. And it's like you just want to run, dude.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with them. Holy shit!
Oh man.
I wish they.
Well,
I was gonna say, I wish they. I mean, they had a role in the franchise, of course, but I kind of do wish that they kind of would have showcased them more, I guess, or maybe
yeah.
like it'd be cool to even do like a spin-off of like just the Nazgul or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that would be kind of cool, like a TV show of like these 9 kings and like how they got corrupted and it became the Nazgul, and like I think that would be actually pretty fucking sick.
I'd watch it, bro.
That'd
Hell
be
yeah.
sick as fuck. I think
I'm there.
everyone would be. Yeah, I think everyone would be interested in that.
All right, well, I guess we'll continue on with the characters that I have, and talking about their weapons and whatnot. So, see, the first one I would need to talk about, let's go with Legolas. Of course, Legolas, the elven prince from the Woodland Realm. We all know Legolas. He is played by Orlando Bloom, which we already discussed in the first episode, so please go back and watch that for all the character and actor details. But Legolas, his main weapons, of course, is his bow and arrow. Legolas wields a longbow, which he uses with remarkable accuracy and speed. He is known for shooting multiple arrows in rapid succession, often with incredible precision, making him a formidable range fighter. He also carries daggers. Legolas carries 2 elven daggers. These are used in close combat and showcases his skills in melee fighting. And I think this is more so in the book than the movie, but he also carries a sword, although less frequently shown. Legolas also has a sword, which he uses when confronting enemies closely, especially in battle. So Legolas is different because he's an elf, so he does a lot of other features too. So he has a lot of... So Legolas possesses extraordinary agility, allowing him to move silently and quickly, often performing aerobatic features such as running along the tops of moving objects or scaling walls. Heightened senses. As an elf, Legolas has heightened senses, enabling him to see and hear things that humans cannot. And he also kind of has like magic-like abilities. While Legolas does not use traditional magic, his elven nature grants him abilities that might seem magical, such as his near uncanny reflexes, superior vision, and a connection to nature. A little bit about Legolas, which we all pretty much have known. So the next one I'll talk about, let's do Aragorn. Aragorn is probably one of the most important characters, if not the most important character. That is debatable, but Aragorn, of course, is very much skilled in the sword. Aragorn wields Andrula? I don't know how to say that, but he has the fucking sword, all right? The reforged blade of Narsil, which was originally used by Isildur. This sword symbolizes his heritage and rightful claim to the throne of Gondor. He also uses daggers. Same with Legolas. Aragorn carries a dagger for close encounters. This is often used with stealth necessary. Practical use is, of course, it is close quarters and essential during ambushes. He also uses bow and arrows, which he does a couple times in the movie, but not really so much. He occasionally uses a bow, particularly in situations where range attack is necessary. Now, Aragorn is also kind of strategic as well. Aragorn displays remarkable leadership skills. Of course, he takes charge in battles. His healing abilities, although not traditionally considered magical, Aragorn possesses the ability to heal, drawing on the knowledge passed down from his ancestors. Stealth and tracker. As a ranger, Aragorn specializes in stealth, tracking, and survival skills, which is shown when he tracked down the Hobbit and the Two Towers, I believe it was. And then, but yeah, that's pretty much all Aragorn's skills and weapons are. We're going to move on to, let's do Samwise Gamgee. Good old Sam. So Sam, we all love Sam. Sam plays a crucial role in the quest to destroy the One Ring. So Sam, he uses Sting just for a little bit to help Frodo out in Return of the King. But Sam really doesn't really have much of any type of weapon. Sam also uses various tools from his guarding kit, which is practically purpose, such as cooking and aiding in defense. Sam does love to cook, especially with potatoes. So let's do. So even though he's not magical, Sam does have some gifts, which we learned in the 25th anniversary extended editions. I did not know that Sam was gifted a rope, which he uses, and that rope is also the rope that he ties around Gollum. And I did not know that he was gifted that rope. It is a magical elven rope. I did not know that. That was pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much Sam. He doesn't really do much fighting. He's mainly just there for support, and he supports Frodo big time. Speaking of Frodo, let's move along to Frodo. So Frodo Baggins, pretty much the center character in the entire movie. He uses a couple things. So Sting, of course, this is Frodo's primary weapon, a small elven sword that glows blue in the presence of orcs. It was given to him by Bilbo and originally forged in Gondolin. And he also uses the One Ring. While not a weapon in the traditional sense. The One Ring is Frodo's burden and ultimate goal. It possesses immense power and corrupts those who seek to wield it. Frodo uses the ring in critical moments, often to evade capture or to conceal himself. He also has an elven dagger, which he uses, gifted to the Fellowship. Frodo occasionally wields the dagger during his journey. While less prominent in his staying, it serves as a backup weapon. Now, some things that Frodo did obtain, which I guess is kind of a weapon in a way, is the Light of Arendelle, given to Frodo by Galadriel. It is the light of the star and often offers hope and protection in dark times, particularly against the Nazgul. And then he also has the Cloak of Lorien, a gift from Galadriel. Also, this cloak helps Frodo blend into his surroundings, providing some degree of invisibility and protection from enemies. That's a little bit of what Frodo has. Frodo had a lot. Let's move on. We have Gandalf, the mighty wizard. Probably the most iconic characters. If it's not him, it's Gollum. But Gandalf here has a couple weapons. He has Glamdring. This is Gandalf's sword, also known as the Foe Hammer, I guess. It was forged in the ancient days for the elven king Trugon of Gondolin, and it glows blue, I guess, also when orcs are near, which I did not know. He also has, of course, the wizard staff. The staff, Gandalf's staff, is not only a symbol of his statue as a wizard, but also serves as a weapon and a channel for his magic. It aids him in casting spells and provides him with greater focus in battle. Now, Gandalf, I'm going to make this quick. I know you all sick of hearing me, but Gandalf also has magic abilities. Fire, just to name a few, fire manipulation. He uses fire in various forms. Illumination, he can create light to aid his companions, especially in dark places like the mines of Moria. Telepathic and mind control, Gandalf displays abilities that allow him to communicate telepathically with other characters. Weather control, he has demonstrated a degree of control over the weather, such as when he summons lightning during battles against powerful foes. Healing, although not his primary role, Gandalf shows some healing abilities, especially in aiding companions when they are injured. Let's see, is that it? Yeah, I think I mentioned all the characters that I need to talk about. That was a mouthful, so what'd you think about all that, Eduardo?
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. There was a lot more depth and fucking shit than I did.
I don't know how, like... I didn't know, like, how in-depth we're supposed to get, so I just found some shit, wrote it down, and just read it off, so...
No, that's good. I mean, that's how I felt when I was doing it, too. I was like, how the fucking in depth are we gonna go? But like, even when I think just the characters that I got, I mean, when I did the research, that's kind of all it gave me anyway. So yeah, then I go into like crazy fucking in depth shit like that. But no, man, that was great. Like, so we have a lot of freaking characters in this movie, and each of them play their own part, and it's kind of crazy because like a lot of these, I mean, we're just talking about weapons, but just like abilities and stuff like that. Like, not everything was showcased in the movies, of course. Like, I'm sure the book has a lot more, things and stuff like that. Of course, that they, weren't able to do with the movie. But, so, yeah, I mean, like, this world is just so fucking vast, and, like, just, like, it's crazy what, like Tolkien was able to create, man. Like, it's just crazy. Like, he really like literally thought of everything. Like, even like the smallest little thing where like everything came from, like it's insane, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot, man. And this is just the characters that stand out. There's so many other characters in this film that we could have talked about in this list that we just talked about, but that was already like a 10-minute thing, so we don't want to make it an hour-long thing. But yeah, Tolkien definitely had his hand, and I'm curious to see what his like notes were like writing the book. I bet you he had like a whole like shelf, like bookcases of just notes alone. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I can't imagine.
But I guess we can move on to our next chapter. Our next section that we're going to be talking about is going to be going into the actual film now. This is what you all probably have been waiting for, so we're going to be talking about. We have a total of 10 major scenes that we are going to be talking about. Yes, there are more, but these are just 10 of the scenes that we thought was important to talk about today. So we're going to be taking turns going back and forth on some of these scenes, and we're going to be talking about it in order of which they occurred in the film. So with that being said, let's see, I guess it's my turn. I'm going to be talking about the opening scene. So the opening scene to the Fellowship of the Ring, of course we've all seen it, is the little prologue that Galadriel speaks. She kind of narrates over all of this important stuff that is happening. So Cate Blanchett, that plays Galadriel, narrates 4 key moments from Middle-earth's history: the forging of the Rings of Power, the War of the Last Alliance, the death of Isildur, and Bilbo's discovery of the One Ring. So to go a little bit deeper into that, Galadriel talks about, she mentioned a description of the Rings of Power. This took inspiration from Tolkien's Ringverse, which I'll read to you right now. 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne. In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. So that is what Tolkien wrote in the book, which they read word for word. She explained that elves were immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings. Dwarves were great miners and craftsmen, and men above all else desired power. Then she transitioned into the War of the Last Alliance. This was a pretty big part in the prologue. It's a 3-act structure played out. At first, the last alliance of elves and men held the upper hand. Elrond and his fellow elven warriors cut down the legions of evil orcs as they charged forward. Sauron then arrived and turned the tide of battle as his massive mace obliterated his opponents. Just when all seemed lost, Isildur picked up his father's shattered blade and miraculously defeated the Dark Lord by slicing the One Ring from his hand. After the War of the Last Alliance, the prologue shows Isildur's death and Bilbo's discovery of the One Ring in Gollum's cave. Along with the earlier appearance of Galadriel and Elrond, this establishes a few of the trilogy's key players. These scenes also include some of Howard Shore's, the composer, iconic recurring music pieces such as the themes for Lothlorien, the One Ring, Mordor, and even the Nazgul. So the prologue, I think, in my opinion, was probably the greatest prologue of any movie. Start off this with that prologue. It doesn't give you a whole lot. It teases you. It's like, oh, so there's a ring. This is how the ring got lost. Okay, now I'm kind of understanding what this is going to be about, but I actually really don't know much else, right? It kind of just teases you what the whole film and the trilogy is going to be about. But yeah, anything else you want to add to that, Eduardo?
No, yes, it's a perfect monologue. I think Cate Blanchett did such a good job. Like, her voice just fits it so well too. Like, it's so like iconic, like rememberable now, and like it just sounds really good. But yeah, I think like the intro to, like you said, the prologue to this movie, along with like what I'm gonna talk about next, with like the whole Shire thing and like Bilbo's birthday and stuff like that, it's just a perfect, I think, beginning to like any film ever. I think it just like it all just fits really well. Like you said, it sets the story and kind of gives you like the background information, a little bit of like what's going on, like what the Ring of Power is, and like kind of like catch us up to like where we are now, kind of thing. And then I just thought it was funny how like the men are just doomed for they're just doomed for corruption and death. Like all the other characters are like great elves and dwarves, like great warriors, and then men are like doomed to die. It's like, holy shit! All right,
I know.
Men are weak.
Sacrifices. Yeah, that's all they are. It's just a one big sacrifice.
Yeah, that's just hilarious. And it's just crazy. I mean, that many fucking rings, right? To rings of power also, and then like just one ring that fucking rules everything. Um, you know, fucking Sauron, just of course the evil person that he is. But I mean that was great.
So moving on in order of the film, Eduardo's going to take over. Eduardo's going to be talking about Bilbo's 111th birthday party, and also leaving the ring to Frodo. So without further ado, Eduardo, take it away.
Yeah. So the next scene again, like I mentioned, starts at in Hobbiton in the Shire. Gandalf kind of well, like I said, there's all this is like in preparation for Bilbo's 111th birthday. Um, so he's kind of in the midst of like planning everything. Gandalf comes to visit for his birthday. Frodo kind of like is sitting under a tree, just kind of waiting for him, whatever, and they kind of meet, and it's a very like heartwarming intro, I think, because like, and then the music just plays like so well into it, like it just like very happy and like I said heartwarming, and then it just like, and then it just goes dark, once everything goes down, at the end when like Bilbo ends up leaving, but like I said, like everyone knows Gandalf, of course. They're in the Shire. All the kids are always excited for him to come because he's always brings fireworks, and of course, he has his magic, so he's always entertaining the kids and stuff like that. And then he finally goes, visits Bilbo at his house. Um, kind of talk about whatever was going on, stuff like that. And then the idea of Bilbo leaving, and then going off and living with the elves. But then they kind of get into the, well, I guess we can talk about like the birthday sign, like the no admittance except party of business, which is pretty big. How you want to call it, like a pretty big like staple, like a thing that everyone knows from both the book and the movie. Like people have like fucking doormats or like shit and like outside of their houses because of that thing. Um, and then let's see. And then so yeah, and then the party starts. Then that's kind of where we get introduced to both Merry and Pippin. And then they're kind of like, you know, like goofballs, just trying to cause trouble and shit like that. So they kind of go in and steal one of Gandalf's fireworks and sets it off, like this big old freaking dragon that, uh, and ends up exploding into the firework. But I thought it was funny because the scene where like Frodo goes and like protects Bilbo and said there's a dragon, and then he's like, dragon. There hasn't been a dragon here for years. But then like, of course, when these movies came out, like it was like pre-Hobbit, but like those who know the book and stuff like that, which is just kind of funny because like we know what he's talking about, which is hilarious. Um, and then Bilbo then kind of delivers like this speech where um kind of calls out all the families, kind of makes fun of them a little bit, and then he kind of plays like this kind of trick, kind of prank thing that he thinks is funny, where he just kind of says like, "All right, well, I'm leaving," and then puts on the ring and just kind of disappears, and everyone's like, "What the hell's going on?" All in so that he can go back to his home, kind of gather his things, and then, like I said, he's off to live with the elves. But before he leaves, Gandalf shows up, makes sure that he leaves the one ring behind, and of course, the power of the ring corrupts, and like Bilbo's been carrying it for a long time. He doesn't want to leave the ring. He thinks Gandalf's kind of against him in the moment, because he thinks he wants the ring for himself. Um, Eventually, he leaves the ring behind, and then once he drops it on the floor, that's kind of where, like I said, things start to get dark, because then we get kind of these flashbacks to like Isengard, and Gollum is like captured and kind of gives up the location of who last has the ring to his knowledge, which is Bilbo in the Shire. I mean, you get that like iconic like scene where he screams out Shire Baggins, and then the fucking ring wraiths come and attack. And then I feel like this kind of all goes together. Um, Gandalf goes off and kind of does his like research because he does believe after Bilbo gives up the ring, he does believe that this could be the one ring that's been not gone or just hidden, but like just not in play for so many years. Um, he goes, finds out that um, the markings on the rings come up only if it's like in fire or whatever. So once he goes back to the Shire and Frodo, he puts the ring in the fire. The markings show up, and then that's how he knows that it's the One Ring, and that and Frodo needs to leave with the ring. He knows that people are coming. Sauron's pretty much like active again, and then that's where everything just kind of kicks off from there.
Yeah, man. As you were talking about that, I could like visually like see like every part of the fucking film, and I'm like, yeah, that was great. I was like, yep, I know where that happened. Yep. But yeah, man, that was a damn good opening. I think that whole like birthday party and Gandalf coming and the ring and all that. I don't know why, but that's one of like my most favorite scenes because it's so all over the place in a sense of you're feeling happy, then you're feeling like confused, and you're feeling like kind of like scared, and it's like I don't know how I'm supposed to be feeling in this first like 30 minutes. It's like all over the place, and I think it's like one of the most powerful scenes.
True. I also feel like to me at least, it's probably one of the few like very happy moments in the whole trilogy. You know what I mean? Because like the whole party thing, of course, it's like pretty quick or whatever, but like I feel like it's kind of the happiest they all are because they don't know what's ahead of it. You know what I mean? Like there's of course moments once they get to like Rivendell and kind of everyone meets up again. Of course, at the very end of the movie or the trilogy, Return of the King and stuff like that. But like here, like everyone's just kind of like not innocent, but like they just don't know the journey ahead. You know what I mean? So like, everything's that it's a birthday party for Bilbo, like all this type of stuff. Like the characters get introduced and stuff like that. And then it just like I said, it just kind of goes dark from then on. But yeah, definitely very memorable. Like I said, opening scene after the prologue, and I think it just fits well, kind of setting up these Hobbit characters who play such an important part, in the trilogy, and kind of showing like the characteristics and how they kind of interact and are with each other, and then like to think that these little creature hobbits are able to like carry this huge burden in like saving the world basically, so, saving Middle Earth and stuff like that. But I think Peter Jackson. I was gonna say this later on, but I guess I can say now. But I mean, granted, he's the one who did it, but I feel like with watching a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff and like them all talking about the movies and stuff like that, I feel like I don't think that there's like any other director who could have done this like with the passion that he has and what he did with this. Like there definitely wasn't anyone better than Peter Jackson to do this. Like he did a crazy job.
Yeah, he really did, man. I have to agree with you. I don't think any other director could have came out with the same outcome that Peter Jackson did, man. Because every scene, every moment of this entire trilogy is pretty epic, and it really captures the feeling that I think the tone that J.R.R. Tolkien really wanted to kind of bring to us, and Peter Jackson really did an amazing job. I agree 100%, Eduardo, for sure. So I guess moving on. Thank you, Eduardo, for that amazing intro. We're going to move on to our next major scene of the Fellowship of the Ring, and that is Aragorn's introduction, as long with the battle with the Black Riders on Weathertop. So this is another important, I guess, scene, and I mean, you're introducing the world to one of the most important characters of the entire trilogy. So it's definitely an important scene, and I love this scene as well. It's just so like it's so well put together, and I think this scene doesn't really get enough credit. But anyways, I guess we can just go right into it, man. Aragon's basically to sum up the scene before I go into the whole like the whole thing about it, right? Aragorn's conversation with the hobbits that the Prancing Pony is rich with tension and character development. It really is. So just to break it down a little bit, the initial encounter when the hobbits first arrive in the Prancing Pony, they're there sipping their pints. All the beers come in pints, which not all hobbits knew, but now they all know. So they're all having a good time. They're sitting at the table, yeah, and Frodo's kind of like looking at this little character in the corner because this dude in the corner, all hooded up, is smoking a pipe, is staring right at him. He's like, so he asks the barkeep, "Who's that guy in the corner?" Barkeep goes, "Oh, that's one of those ranger folks," But yeah, when they first arrive, they are nervous and on edge. Aragorn, seated in the shadows, observes them carefully. His first words to them are somewhat cryptic, but shows his intent to help. So Aragorn immediately senses the fear in the hobbits, particularly Frodo, because Frodo, gets all frustrated and he ends up tripping and he ends up putting on the One Ring inside of the whole settlement, and everyone is in shock because he disappears. And that's when kind of Frodo sees the ghost of the Nazguls for the first time. I think it's second time. First time, it might be a first time. But yeah. So he sees them and gets all freaked out again, and he takes the ring off, and that's when Aragorn grabs them and kind of like throws them in the fucking corner. But Aragorn immediately senses the fear in the hobbits, particularly Frodo. He reassures them by acknowledging the dangers they face, indicating his understanding of the situation. And this establishes him as a protector. He introduces himself as Strider, Strider giving them a name to latch onto instead of revealing his true identity as Aragorn, a man of nobility. Because Aragorn, of course, he needs to protect his name Aragorn because everyone knows Aragorn is the heir to Gondor, which he doesn't want anybody to know because he'll be in a lot of danger. But Aragorn warns the hobbits about the ring race, emphasizing their relentless pursuit of Frodo. He speaks of the urgency of their situation and, kind of gets them out of trouble there. Then he kind of builds trust with them a little bit. As the conversation unfolds, Aragorn's demeanor shifts from mysterious to trustworthy, I guess is the right word you can use. He reassures them that he can help them reach Rivendell safely, creating a bond of trust. And then Frodo's like, okay, well, I guess Gandalf kind of sent you here, right? Because we need help to make it to Rivendell. And that's what Aragorn does. Aragorn's dialogue is pretty brief, but it's pretty impactful. He demonstrates his experience and straightforward nature. And unlike the hobbits, who are more lighthearted and whimsical, Aragorn is pretty serious. He takes everything pretty serious, which he should, which highlights the stark contrast between them and the gravity of their quest. But then Aragorn offers the guide to the hobbits, understanding his role, and this also foreshadows Aragorn's pivotal role in the journey to come. But basically what happened, he shelters the hobbits, they find a room, and then he kind of deceives the Nazguls because they're going to find Frodo and the hobbits there. The Nazgul enters a different room, but the beds are made up looking like somebody is in the bed. The Nazgul then stabs the bed, thinking they just killed the hobbit and going to take the One Ring, but in fact they got the wrong room. And that's when it shows the hobbits and Strider or Aragorn in the other room as Aragorn looks off in the distance, and that's pretty much the scene at Prancing Pony. An introduction of Aragorn, I think, which is a very, very well done introduction. And then shortly after that, we have the encounter, confrontation, and the fight at Weathertop. Me and Awaro went back and forth trying to remember the name of this tower. For the life of us, we just could not remember. But it's pretty simple. Weathertop, Wardo. That's all it is.
I was like, holy shit. I was like, I don't know why I couldn't think of it. And so we just watched the movies too, and I was like, what the hell's the name of that? I can't talk about this fucking thing.
Yeah, but that's it. The confrontation at Weathertop is a thrilling sequence, emphasizing the stakes involved in the quest to destroy the One Ring. Kind of leading up to the confrontation, the Fellowship is resting at Weathertop, where they have a clear view of the surrounding lands. And then, sensing danger, before the Nazguls appear, Frodo has unsettling visions and dreams about the ring. I think that might be a little more in the book than the film. But the arrival of the Nazguls, man, when the arrival of them, when they walked up, man, it was so eerie. They have the fog, they have the smoke, like everything is like pretty much like Peter Jackson really set the stage of the arrival of these Nazguls, and it was creepy, man. But the Nazguls arrive in a chilling manner, their black cloaks billowing, riding their terrifying steeds. But, while their faces remain hidden, the Nazguls' intentions are pretty clear. They evoke dread, symbolizing the power of darkness and Sauron. And of course, Aragorn is there to defend the hobbits. As the Nazguls close in, Aragorn quickly assesses the situation. He instructs the hobbits to take cover, demonstrating his protective instincts. And then we also see kind of the first glance of how Aragorn fights at this battle at Weathertop, man. His fighting style, we get to see he's agile and precise, showcasing his skills as a ranger. He wields Strider's sword, effectively driving back the Nazguls. But Aragorn versus the Nazguls, that's a huge moment, I think, in the film, and one of my favorites. The initial engagement sees Aragorn fighting fiercely against multiple Nazguls. He was able to hold them off, and Frodo, despite Aragorn's attempts to shield him, feels the pull of the ring. His increasing despair and sense of helplessness contributes to the tension. As the situation escalates, Frodo draws his dagger and, in a moment of instinctive bravery, stabs one of the Nazguls. This acts as a surprise even to the Dark Riders. Unfortunately, Frodo's action leads to him wounding and getting wounded by a Morgul blade. This injury possesses a significant threat to his well-being, which pretty much he carries this injury his entire life. Like, we'll get into all that, but this stab wound is pretty much the catalyst of the end of Frodo's life, pretty much. But we'll get all into that. But yeah, he gets stabbed, and then he has pretty much the poison of the Morgul blade. And then after the confrontation, and then Strider or Aragorn does a excellent throw of the torch. the torch lands right into the Nazgul's face, which ends the whole fight. And Nazgul's like, "Oh shit, we should not be here." And then they all storm off, and Aragorn reigns supreme. But Frodo, however, he's not doing so good after this. But foreshadowing future challenges. The confrontation serves as a foreshadowing of the dangers to come and solidifies Frodo's burden as the ring bearer. Poor Frodo. But I think that was a very important, of course it was very important. I mean, you have Frodo that gets wounded. That was an extreme catalyst to the entire story. And then it showcases Aragorn's fight and his will and his protective services to the hobbits. And what you think about that scene, man?
Yeah, no, they both do. Like you said, Aragorn first gets introduced in the Prancing Pony scene, and I thought it was like chilling and menacing. Then, like the Nazgul coming in, because like you said, Frodo kind of stumbles over and like the ring just falls on his finger, and that's like the first time he ever puts it on. And then like as soon as he puts it on, the ring wraiths just know where he's at. So like you just see them just coming. They get to the town, and then they just go through the door, like, and they're all just like, in the inn, just trying to, find Frodo. And then they say once they get into the room, and then they're all just there with their swords, just ready to fucking kill all of them. And then like you hear like they'll like shriek once they realize that they're not fucking there, which I thought that was like a really cool scene. And then once they said at Weathertop, I thought it was funny too when they're all like cooking fucking food, and then Frodo wakes up, what the fuck are you doing? And then he's like, yeah, who saved you? So we say we got bacon, tomatoes, whatever the fuck they're doing. And he's like, we saved some for you. And then that's when the wraiths show up again, and then like you said, that stab from the Witch King, like I said, just like scars Frodo for the rest of his life. Um, and yeah, we got to see just Aragorn just going crazy, fucking 1v9 every other race and shit like that. But yeah, that was a fun scene for sure.
Yeah, I think the hobbits are something else, man, and they really bring a different vibe and different contrast to this dark story. They really do. um but I guess we can move on to our next major event, our next major scene that happens. Eduardo's going to take us through the journey where Gandalf and Saruman fight in the tower. Eduardo, take it away.
So yeah, this scene pretty much kind of goes on simultaneously with the scene that Willie just talked about with everything that happens at Bree and Weathertop. So Gandalf kind of sets, like I said, Frodo off on his journey. He said, "I'll meet you at the Prancing Pony." Gandalf kind of goes off and seeks the help of Saruman, who gets introduced in the movie here, which is pretty much the most powerful wizard that we have in Middle Earth. Saruman the White, and then Gandalf's very old friend. And then yeah, so he kind of goes there, seeks his help, seeks his aid, kind of letting him know that the One Ring of Power pretty much has been found, and that something needs to be done now before Sauron's aware. Sauron, he's gonna come back and do everything that he can to get the ring. So then, Saruman then, Gandalf in the moment doesn't know that Saruman's already been corrupted by Sauron. He's already like pledged his allegiance to him. He's on his side. He's already building this army for him in Isengard. But like I said, in that moment, that's when Saruman then, like I said, explains, kind of things that he knows of what's going on. That Sauron already, he doesn't have a physical form yet, but he already has this power. Like his power is already gaining. He's already strong as as he is in the moment. And then that's when he kind of the Palantir gets introduced for the first time, which is kind of like this like evil magical kind of ball thing that that's like very dark, that they can do a lot of things with. Help like the magic from that Palantir can help correct other people. He's able to like connect and work closer with Sauron through that, stuff like that. That's where Saruman then tries to get Gandalf to be on his side. Tell him that like there's no beating Sauron, and this is kind of like like we must join forces, and like we'll be undefeated kind of thing. And then he also explains that, like I said, his army's already building. The Nazgul have already awakened and are already in pursuit of the one that holds the ring. So then that's when Gandalf is like, when did the this wise wizard turn evil and stuff like that. And then he tries to escape, and then that's when they kind of start to battle off against each other, because Gandalf is of course trying to get to Frodo before anything happens. Eventually, Saruman kind of wins the duel and then kind of like entraps Gandalf at the very top of the Isengard tower, and then you know, yeah, and then it kind of comes back to Gandalf a little bit later, and you know they're still kind of fighting, and then eventually the way that Gandalf escapes off the top of the tower. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce the name of the creature that helps him, but it's like um, got weird, got here or something like that. I don't know,
Hell yeah.
but uh, that's is this like the chief of all great eagles? Kind of comes in, swoops him up, and then takes him to well, you know, helps him escape. But yeah, that's kind of what happens with that whole interaction with Saruman and Gandalf.
Yeah, man, that was an epic scene, man. I think it was so evil and so sinister how Saruman had Gandalf spinning on the ground.
Oh yeah,
That was like, I was like, dude, that is so evil. And I'm
it's
sure
crazy.
Tolkien wrote that, right? And I don't know
Yeah,
what he was thinking. Was like, yeah, let's have Gandalf just feet stuck, but his body's going in a circle.
yeah,
You know, it's like it's so creepy. But that scene, that whole scene is epic, man. I love that scene.
yeah. Like Christopher Lee is so good too, man. He plays the part of Saruman so well. Like his voice too, just like kind of gives off this like evil, you know, of course as he is as a character, and he just yeah, it's he just plays it so well. But yeah, it's a great scene, and then like I said, of course you learn a lot. You get introduced to Saruman, which he's already like this evil person, of course. Yeah, I feel like it plays a pretty big part in the movie for sure.
Absolutely, man. Good take. I love it. Gonna move on. Where this next scene, I'm gonna kind of go through a little bit quickly to save some time, but it is a great scene. So the next scene I need to talk about is Arwen, and she helps Frodo rush him to the aid, and the Nazguls are after her in the whole river scene. Just to kind of rush through it a little bit quickly, even though it is a pretty important scene in the entire trilogy. The river scene involves Arwen and her bravery and the deep connection she shares with Aragorn as she helps Frodo. So as we just talked about, Frodo got stabbed with the Morgul blade, and he is hurt. He needs medicine. He needs Elvish medicine. So Arwen comes to the aid, and of course her connection with Aragorn, she knows where he is and helps Frodo out. So she picks up Frodo and on her horse, and they are off. They are hauling ass to get the hell out of there before the Nazguls catch them. The scene unfolds as Frodo and his companions are being pursued, of course, just to mention that. The tension builds, and as Arwen, who is in love with Aragorn, if you did not know, she appears on horseback, determined to protect Frodo and help him escape. She calls upon the name of Elbereth, invoking a powerful spell that resonates with the magic of her elven heritage. The river, as they're running from the Nazguls, they end up crossing a big river, and the Nazguls are pretty hesitant to jump across it. But one of them does attempt to come across it, and that's when all the others are like, okay, let's go then. The river comes to life at Arwen's command, swelling and rushing forward. It becomes a powerful force against the Nazguls, and the river turns into a bunch of stallions, a bunch of horses, a bunch of horsepower, further emphasizing Arwen's role as a protector and her innate connection to the nature world. The Nazguls attempt to pursue Frodo, but are engulfed by the flood. This moment signifies not just a physical barrier for the Black Riders, but also a symbolic barrier marking the struggle between good and evil. So there's always a struggle, good and evil. And so far, most of the evil has been from these Nazguls trying to get Frodo. The scene is charged with emotion, showcasing Arwen's love for Aragorn and her willingness to risk everything to help Frodo and get him to safety. This moment foreshadows the larger battle against Sauron and the sacrifices that the characters will continue to face. So, with that being said, Arwen basically casts a spell. The river comes to life, engulfing all the Black Riders, and she was able to evade them and leave with Frodo, taking him to safety. But I think that scene is very iconic, and I think everyone that has seen that, back in 2001 when the film came out, that was something new. Nobody's ever really seen like this river come to life, and the way that it was shot and done. So everyone kind of remembers the scene for that particular reason. But yeah, that's all I got for that one, Eduardo.
Mm. Yeah, man, it was a great scene. It was a like a fun chase scene, like especially once they get into like once they get in like between the trees and stuff like that. It's just like I said, Arwen with Frodo, and then like all these freaking 9 Black Riders just coming in behind her and just chasing her, which is like just like super cool. And it's like holy shit, like are they gonna catch up? Are they gonna get her? Whatever. And then like that iconic line where she's like, if you want him, come and claim him. And then that's when like you said like the water starts to come up and then washes them away and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely a iconic, memorable scene for sure.
Definitely a fun scene, and I love watching it every time that I watch the movie. Moving on. Oh boy, Eduardo, you have a tough job ahead of you, man.
Yeah.
The next scene, as Arwen kind of rushes further to safety, they make it to Rivendell, which everyone kind of makes it there on time, even Gandalf. But Eduardo, you have a big job because this is the Council of Elrond and the forming of the Fellowship. So without further ado, Eduardo, take it away.
Yeah, this is definitely the scene I have the most notes for sure.
I figured.
It's definitely a big important scene for sure. Kind of like turns the tide in the movie. And then yeah, like you said, coming right off the heels from what you just talked about, Frodo kind of just wakes up in Rivendell now, and then Gandalf is already there. Kind of wakes up to see Gandalf, and it's kind of this is almost like probably the other big happy moment in this film, kind of similar to like how I talked about with the opening with the shower scene. Everyone's like happy because like they with what they went through, they all made it to Rivendell. As far as they're concerned, in that moment, like Frodo and the hobbits kind of did their part in taking the ring that far to Rivendell, and then um, you know having Frodo be okay and kind of reuniting with everyone it's a fun scene and stuff like that. Um, and then that's where Bilbo's at. So Frodo sees Bilbo again. Bilbo was able to finish his book. This is where I mean we've seen Elrond earlier in the movie, but this is where we kind of fully get introduced to Elrond. Um, and this is where the fate of the ring kind of gets decided. Um, Elrond. So like at this point in I guess Middle Earth or whatever, like the elves are kind of they've had their moment in Middle Earth, like protecting it and being like this huge contributing race on Middle Earth. Like they just kind of want to leave. Like their fight's kind of over at this point, stuff like that. So they don't have the power or the numbers even to be able to fight uh, Sauron in this moment. So Elrond kind of says like the ring can't stay here. We're not able to protect it, stuff like that. Um, so he kind of calls upon this council, where we get pretty much introduced to every other member of the Fellowship, and all these characters being a part from this moment on. This is when like Legolas comes in, Gimli, Boromir, like I said, all come in to kind of discuss the fate of what's going to happen with the ring, and who's gonna do what with it. Um, there's a moment before the council begins where um, this is where they kind of show the flashback of like someone they're determining to see what they're gonna do with the ring. This is where Elrond is talking to Gandalf, saying that I was there when Isildur took the ring, essentially killed Sauron or whatever, and then they were in Mount Doom. Isildur had the power to destroy the ring then and just end everything, but of course, as men are corrupted, he kept the ring, and they're there where they're at now. And then kind of the next scene is like Aragorn is kind of just there at night, and then Boromir kind of shows up, and they kind of have like this little argument kind of thing, and that's where we kind of see that sword of Narsil that I talked about earlier, with it being the weapon that Isildur used to get the ring off of Sauron. And then kind of like this quick little moment between Arwen and Aragorn, where we mentioned in like the complete guide, where that's a very big kind of love story that they have between each other. I say Arwen's the elf, Aragorn is of course human, but they have such love for each other. That's when Arwen kind of gives Aragorn that Evan Star and kind of proclaims her life and is willing to live a mortal life, to be with them and stuff like that. So, and then once that happens, that's when everyone kind of gathers around, and then that's when kind of like the council begins. They all like argue kind of to see who's the one that's gonna do what. Boromir kind of comes out and wants to kind of take the ring for himself, and take it to Gondor and use it as a weapon against Sauron. And then that's where like Aragorn is like, you can't like use it as a weapon. Like the ring is just like, it bends only to Sauron himself, so it's not gonna work if someone else tries to use it against him. And then like I said, they start arguing again, and then Legolas kind of defends Aragorn because he knows who he really is also, and then that's where you kind of find out that who Aragorn really is, and that he's like the heir to Isildur and also the heir to the crown in Gondor. Just in that moment, Aragorn just he doesn't want to kind of fall with his ancestors, and kind of like he just thinks he's not strong enough, to be this king, and like I said, he doesn't want to fall and be just like Isildur and them, being corrupted by the ring and just not thinking he can do a good job fighting. But then what's it called? After that, Elrond kind of comes up and says the only thing that has to be done is to just destroy the ring, and the only way that can be done is by taking it to Mount Doom in Mordor, and then throwing it into the fire. And then that's one of the like iconic lines in the whole trilogy, where Boromir says, "One does not simply walk into Mordor." And then like I said, they start arguing again, and then Frodo kind of has like these visions in a way, or like he just hears the voice of the ring kind of talk to him, and then he kind of gets up and just kind of claims that he should be the one to to take it to Mordor, and take this burden, and do what needs to be done. He's already taken it this far, might as well take it to Mordor himself. And then from then on, that's when the Fellowship forms. All the other characters pledge kind of their allegiance to the quest. So Frodo, the Bearer, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Boromir, and then Merry, Pippin, and Sam, who are all kind of hiding, hearing what's going on, because they're nosy, and they all join this quest, and then that's how the Fellowship is formed. And then towards the end of that little scene, which I think is important also, Bilbo and Frodo have another moment. That's when Bilbo hands Frodo the Sting Blade, and like Willie mentioned earlier, it turns blue when orcs are near. And then he also gives them the mithril kind of armor, which plays an important part in one of these other scenes that we'll talk about. And then as Frodo was going to try on the armor, that's when Bilbo sees the One Ring again. Wants to hold it for the very last time, and then that's where you can Frodo kind of really sees how much of a burden this kind of ring is, and like how much it's kind of really affected Bilbo all these years. But yeah, that's pretty much that whole scene there.
Yeah, man, that was a lot. That was a big scene. And you fucking nailed it, man. One of, well, I think the one part of that entire scene is so small, but the one part that really stands out to me is the part where Frodo says, "I'll take it. I'll take the ring." And then you just see Gandalf's face just melt. You can see his eyes and his whole demeanor just sags, man. And it really gives the audience like that feeling of dread. Like, is this little hobbit really gonna take this ring to the fires of Mordor? And Gandalf just tells you the entire story in his face in that 1 second scene, man. And I don't know why, but that one part always stands out to me. But it's a very important scene, man. The forming of the Fellowship. Good job covering it, man.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you too, though. The his face, man. Every time I see it too, it's like, man, like he knows. Like, yeah, I mean, he has such faith and trust, of course, in these hobbits. Of course, like like I said, talking about the what goes on in the Hobbit and how he was introduced to like Bilbo and what everything that happened with Bilbo and stuff like that. So he has, like I said, a lot of respect and faith in these hobbits. But he has, like we said, such love for Frodo and Gandalf, knowing the big task ahead of what he has to go through to do this. So it's very definitely very devastating. But again, like a heartwarming scene, which I thought was done really well. So
Could not have said it better myself, Eduardo. With that being said, man, we're gonna roll on. We're gonna keep it moving. Now we have the forming of the Fellowship. We have the Fellowship that's going to carry the ring all the way to Mordor. Every one of them is going to carry it, Eduardo. Every one of them is going to make it to Mordor. Every one of them is going to throw the ring into the fire with no hiccups. It's going to be perfect. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that was true. As they leave Rivendell and the mighty Howard Shore delivers the emotional score that leads them out of Rivendell and into the world. That's when we first get the score of the Fellowship, which is iconic. And it leads the Fellowship all the way to the Misty Mountains. They travel through there. They have a really rough time. And then they end up... Frodo is the one. Gandalf was like, Frodo, where are we going to go, bro? Like, you got to pick something, man. And Frodo's like, we shall go through the mines of Moria. And Gandalf is like, well, great. You just really fucked me. But yeah, so the Fellowship wanders through the Misty Mountains, survives all that snow, all the rock, all the mountains. They make their way over to the mines of Moria, and they can't get into the mines because there is a door blocking them. They can't open the door. They have to find the correct keyword to open the door to the mines of Moria. But as they are waiting, we're going to be talking about the Watcher in the water. And then after that, we're going to be talking about the battle with the troll in the mines. I think these two scenes were pretty iconic. So without further ado, let's talk about the Watcher in the water. As they're waiting for Gandalf to figure out the password, the keyword to open the mines, they are waiting, and there's pretty much like a lake at the doorway of the mines of Moria. And the Watcher is disturbed. The Watcher in the water is disturbed by Merry and Pippin, who are throwing rocks in the water to pass time while Gandalf tries to figure out the password. Of course, they're doing something. They always gotta be into something, man. But as they're throwing the stones into the water, into the lake, By the time the riddle of the door is figured out and is spoken, which, if you don't know, Gandalf figure out the word is friend in Elvish, and the word is what's the word, Ardo? Forgot. What does it say?
I don't even know. I forgot even know.
I think it's like Morlin or something.
Yeah, well, it's like melon, but I mean it's Mellon, but just the way Gandalf pronounces it, of course, it's in like Elvish, so it sounds a lot different.
That's the one. Yeah. So Gandalf says Melon, and the door opens, but they're not out of the woods yet. By the time the riddle of the door is figured out and spoken, the Watcher is already provoked, and it emerges from the lake. And this Watcher in the water is what it's called. Is basically a giant tentacle-like monster with lots of tentacles, and the tentacles grabs Frodo. And Frodo's like, "Hey, bro, what's up?" Lifts him in the air. And then Sam, of course, Sam is like livid, man. He attempts to defend him, but good old Sam can't really do much. Poor Sam. The rest of the Fellowship attempting to injure the Watcher. They're all fighting the tentacles, trying to save Frodo. The Watcher drops Frodo when it's injured, and he is caught by Boromir. Legolas shoots the Watcher in the eye as the Fellowship retreats into the mines of Moria. Just as they enter completely, the Watcher tears down the doorway behind them, and the way out is blocked by falling rock. The Fellowship is then forced to travel into the darkness of Moria. Now, as they're traveling through the mines of Moria, poor Gimli is seeing all the death of his relatives. Everybody in the mines of Moria have been slaughtered. There's no one left survived in the mines of Moria. And Gimli is very, very distraught. As they keep traveling through, they enter a room. And in the room is pretty much a tomb. It's a pretty much like a whole cemetery in this room of all of Gimli's dead relatives. As they're trying to figure out which direction to go, good old Pimpin is wandering around and ends up kind of tossing the remnants of a dwarf's armor down a well, and the armor kind of makes a huge crack sound, a huge noise at the bottom of the well in the bottom of the mines of Moria, which awakens the entire mines. All the orcs, everyone is awake, and trouble is coming. And that is when the classic cave troll fight in the Fellowship of the Ring occurs. The cave troll fight occurs in a chamber of Mazar Bul during the Fellowship's journey through Moria. And then, as the Fellowship prepares to defend themselves, a cave troll breaks through the door. This thing is huge. It is described as having dark greenish scales, I guess, in the book, but in the movie it's pretty much gray. It's a big gray troll, which is nasty. This thing is gross. So the initial attack, the cave troll charges into the chamber, creating chaos. Boromir attempts to fend it off, but finds the sword ineffective against its tough hide. During the course of this battle, I think this battle is pretty epic. I think, in my opinion, it is the best battle in the Fellowship of the Ring. I think, for me, it's the best one. But during the battle, Frodo gets injured. During the fight, the troll pierces Frodo with a spear. However, Frodo survives due to his mithril shirt, which protects him from serious harm, which he was given by Bilbo. Was it by Bilbo? I think it was by him. The Fellowship's defense, the members of the Fellowship fight back fiercely. Legolas uses his bow and shoots the troll, while Aragorn and Boromir engage it in close combat. They have victory. Ultimately, Legolas delivers a fatal shot, hitting the troll in the mouth with an arrow, killing it. The Fellowship manages to escape the chamber, but not without sustaining injuries and facing the looming threat of the next great battle, which is the battle with the Balrog, which we'll get into. The cave troll fight is a pivotal moment in the film, showcasing the Fellowship's bravery and teamwork. this is the first time the Fellowship has worked together in a fight, and it really showed that they are truly a team. They are truly a fellowship of fighters and warriors, man. I think this is. I don't know if this is my favorite scene. I have to like kind of think about it, but it's definitely up there, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of action for sure, and like you said, the first time they all kind of fight together, and um, we get to see the mines of Moria and stuff like that, get introduced into to kind of that, and where like all the dwarves lived, because they all kind of died, I guess. But no, it was a cool scene. Um, yeah, these amount of fucking orcs that are live there now, and then the whole troll scene and everything like that is awesome. And then yeah, it was a cool little fight scene for sure.
It was, man, and I wish I can say that they were safe and sound from then on, but they weren't, as they travel farther into the mines of Moria. They find themselves with a fight with a Balrog, and that iconic scene. And the Eduardo, I believe you have all the good stuff for that one, so I will turn the microphone over to you, sir.
Yeah, so right after that troll scene, they all just said, "Let's get the hell out of here," and they all kind of started running towards the exits. And like I said, the rest of the orcs and everything just kind of keep on chasing them. They get to the point where they're all just kind of surrounded, but everyone's scared of this freaking Balrog. So once it starts to come up, make noise, literally all the orcs just scatter, and Gandalf, of course, because he just knows everything. He knows, that it's the Balrog and that's the creature that's coming, and like everyone should be afraid. And it's like, yeah, let's get out of here as fast as we can. But it ends up kind of catching up with them. He kind of jumps up and is pretty like really right at the end of the whole cave. They're kind of crossing this bridge to try to get out, and then that's where the Balrog kind of comes up and kind of goes toe to toe with Gandalf. This fucking huge, big, fiery creature that's huge. That pretty much only Gandalf can fight with his magic, of course. So they kind of Gandalf kind of uses like his fire powers to try to combat it, and then that's where like probably the most iconic scene in the whole franchise, to be honest, because like everyone knows this scene and this specific phrase that Gandalf says. So that's where the big iconic "You shall not pass" words were spoken by Gandalf, and he kind of breaks that rage thing kind of in half, and then that's where the Balrog just kind of falls down into the like abyss, pretty much. But one of the weapons that the Balrog has is like this huge, long ass like flame whip that he has. So as it's falling down, Gandalf kind of believes that's it, but no, he comes up and catches Gandalf by the foot and kind of drags him down with them. So, but before it does, Gandalf's kind of like holding off to the kind of like the ledge, and then he like the line that he says is he says like "Fly, you fools," and then he kind of just like knows that he kind of has to like sacrifice himself in order for them to for the rest of the Fellowship to go on and continue the quest. And then yeah, that kind of just marks the end of pretty much marks the end of Gandalf the Grey going down, and like I said, sacrifices himself to defeat the Balrog in order for them to continue the quest.
Yeah, man, that was an epic scene. Very iconic. I think everybody knows that scene based off of what you just said. Gandalf's iconic line, "You shall not pass." And this scene makes my wife cry every year just because of how Frodo looks so sad once Gandalf drops, and Frodo screams out, "No!" And yeah, it's it's very a sad moment. And I guess seeing it for the first time in 2001, you're like, no way, Gandalf dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely an iconic scene, man.
Yeah, it's very iconic and very sad scene too. Like I said afterwards, where literally everyone's crying, kind of like taking a moment to kind of mourn Gandalf, because like I said, they all believe for him to be dead. And then yeah, they all kind of just need a moment to kind of gather themselves before they continue on.
Yeah, they make it out of the mines of Moria, and they're all kind of grieving. But Aragorn's like, "No, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. The quest does not stop, and they gotta get out of there before the orcs come out and find them all." So as they are fleeing the mines of Moria, they make their way over to into the forest of where they eventually meet up with Galadriel. This is the first time that we see her. Of course, she was the one that narrated the prologue in the beginning of the film, and this was a pretty iconic scene. I will pretty much skim through it for the sake of time, even though it was pretty significant. But this is the temptation of Galadriel and the One Ring. Um, Galadriel expresses a significant moment that explores the theme of temptation and the corruption power of the One Ring. This scene occurs when Frodo offers the ring to her, testing her character, and pretty much, you know, she was expecting Frodo to come because she can already, she already knows what's going to happen. But she really needed to test herself against the One Ring and see if she passed the test. Some key points in the scene, the offer when Frodo reaches Lothlorien, he is hesitant about the ring's power. He presents it to Galadriel, believing she may be able to resist its allure. Galadriel initially responds with wisdom and grace, acknowledging the ring's seductive nature. She contemplates what it would mean to her to possess it. The vision she has was pretty epic. As she gazes upon the ring, she envisions herself. Man, it's been a long episode. As a powerful ruler, bathed in the glory of the ring's influence. In this dark vision, she imagines taking the ring and becoming a formidable queen, and with power over all. During this vision, she looks terrifying, very creepy. Galadriel demeanor changes drastically. Her expression becomes fierce and unsettling. Her eyes illuminate with a piercing light, and she grows momentarily monstrous, revealing the potential for corruption within her. Ultimately, Galadriel rejects the temptation. She acknowledges that she does not want to use the ring, saying, "I will not give in to this temptation." The rejection signifies her strength and nobility. But yeah, that's pretty much that iconic scene. There's a lot more that went into that entire scene and when they made it to Lothlorien. But for the sake of time, we will not get into the weeds with that. But I think that was a very iconic scene, and it pretty much tells you that within the right mind frame and the right person, the right, like, I guess, I don't know how you would explain it, but temptation is a real bitch to conquer, and I think anybody could, and I'm so glad Galadriel did, because she would have wreaked havoc on the world of Middle-earth if she would have grasped her hands on that ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's definitely this one of the like high-end elves just ever. So like she has, of course, a lot of power. I mean, she held a ring of her own. One of the three elvish rings that were created. But of course, this is the one ring of power that rules everything. So it's way different, for sure. And like you said, she would have wreaked havoc for sure if she were to have falling to the temptation of the ring. But yeah, it was definitely like you said, an important scene for her. She kind of gets her little part of this story, and yeah, kind of just leads us to the end of the movie from them.
Absolutely, man. Leads us right to the ending, which I know Eduardo will be doing a damn good job covering. So without further ado, this is the ending, where Boromir kind of comes to his, and the temptation of the ring and the breaking of the fellowship. So Eduardo, take it away. Close this out, man.
So yeah, this is a very big important scene. Of course, this is the end of the first movie. Um, so they kind of all kind of gather around in the kind of just resting in the woods after leaving the elves and continuing their journey. Frodo kind of wanders off by himself, um, and that's where he kind of runs into Boromir trying to collect wood, stuff like that. And then they have like this little confrontation where um, like of course Frodo being protective of the ring, already kind of knowing that Boromir's kind of been eyeing it and kind of been acting weird, knowing that he wants to take the ring for himself. Like I said, take it to Gondor and use it against Sauron. So he doesn't trust him of all people, or him most of all from anyone in the Fellowship, but he himself kind of has starting to have doubts of everyone as well, not just Boromir. He kind of just wants to go on his own, and thinks that it's only his problem to bear, and he should be the only one going on by himself in this big journey. Like I said, they kind of have this little scuffle. Towards the end of that, Boromir kind of snaps out of it a little bit once he realizes kind of what he did, and like trying to chase down and take the ring from Frodo. But Frodo at that point had already put on the ring and just disappeared, ran off, and uh, finally, like when he takes it off, he kind of runs into Aragorn, who again he's very kind of doubtful of, thinking he might come and take the ring from him also. Then Aragorn kind of just reassures him of, like, I don't want it, like, I'm here to protect you and do this quest. And then but he also, I guess, understands where Frodo's coming from, and is okay with knowing that Frodo is gonna just have to go on his own and deliver this ring by himself. But in that meantime, the this army of Uruk-hai that Saruman has been pretty much building throughout the whole movie are just on the hunt, just running down, uh, going off and chasing them. So then, like, I guess right after that scene, all the Uruk-hai catch up to them, and then Aragorn kind of, another scene where he kind of shows off his abilities as a fighter, and kind of takes on like this whole army by himself, pretty much, up until Legolas and Gimli show up and help him. But it was a really really cool, fun scene. Um, Frodo then, like I said, tries to escape. He kind of runs into Merry and Pippin, um, who are trying to get him to come with them, in order to hide from all these Uruk-hai. But there's kind of this like mutual understanding between him and Mary, knowing that knowing what he kind of has to do, knowing understanding that Frodo kind of has to leave, and do what he has to do to take this ring to Mordor. So Merry and Pippin kind of create this distraction in order for Frodo to escape. As both Merry and Pippin are running, Boromir shows up, and then this is kind of like his kind of big redemption arc from throughout the whole movie, where he's trying to get the ring, take it from his own. Uh, like the ring's kind of corrupting him, or he can't resist that temptation. But then but like I said, he has this big redemption arc where he protects both Merry and Pippin. He fights off and tries to hold on as much as he can before he then ends up just, of course, having to sacrifice his life in order to save these hobbits and protect this quest. So that was a very definitely very emotional scene. Him just taking those arrows, just straight, and then just continuing to fight on. Even after taking, he ended up taking 3 in total before he couldn't fight no more. So it was very sad, very tragic scene. And then uh, Aragorn shows up right before the leader of the Uruk-hai tries to put the very last arrow in Boromir, and then Aragorn and the Uruk-hai both kind of fight, do their thing. Aragorn ends up defeating that leader of that Uruk-hai, and then they kind of have this moment between both him and Boromir. Just knowing that Boromir is gonna die, and having this little heartfelt kind of moment there. And then while that's going on, scene goes back. All right, well, so before Aragorn even shows up, though, since Boromir kind of is defeated, the Uruk-hai just take both Merry and Pippin because they're both instructed to, of course, hunt down the one who holds the ring, but not to kill them, just to take him and bring him to Saruman. So they know that it's these hobbit creatures that have the ring, so they take them both as hostages to take back to Saruman. And then about the very end, Sam or Frodo kind of gets back to those boats. He's off to leave by himself, and then Sam is kind of like chasing behind him, wanting to go with Frodo. Frodo's already kind of in the water, leaving. Sam's not going to give up and just let him go without a fight. So that's one of the also a very like heartwarming, emotional scene. Sam can't swim, but he jumps into the water anyways because he wants to go with Frodo. He ends up kind of drowning, but of course Frodo comes back, pulls him out of the water, and then they have like this, like I said, heartwarming exchange between the two, where Sam says he's not leaving. He made a promise to Gandalf, saying, "Don't you leave him, Samwise." And he says, "I'm never going to leave you, Frodo." And they kind of both go on and continue the quest on their own. And then Aragorn kind of gives, it was not really a funeral, but kind of just puts Boromir in like the boat and kind of, sends him off into the waterfall down down there. And then Legolas, of course, their intention is to keep on following Frodo. But Aragorn, of course, already knows that, this is a test that he kind of has to do on his own. And knowing that both Merry and Pippin got taken by the Uruk-hai, they said, let's go hunting and try to save both Merry and Pippin. And that kind of pretty much concludes the whole movie.
Oh man, that was a big scene. That was a big ending to the Fellowship of the Ring. Another part that my wife cries at every year also is the part where Sam gets into the water and he says, "Oh, you can't swim, Sam," and my wife balls up every year. But yeah, it's definitely a sad a time. It's definitely a sad moment. But yeah, I mean the ending is pretty epic, and the Fellowship did not last that long. Unfortunately, it kind of breaks up at the end, man, and yeah, it's pretty damn sad.
Yeah, it really didn't last. It lasted like half the movie maybe, and then it got broken up at the end of it, and then they never really all came together until the very end.
Well, that was all the major scenes in the movie Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. We kind of broke down a lot in those major scenes, and definitely a chore to kind of research and break that down for y'all, but we enjoyed it because this is our favorite movie, our favorite fandom. I want to thank you all for on this journey that we went through. We talked about all the weapons that the major characters had and what their powers and their magic was. And then we broke down all the major scenes in order of the film. We talked about the opening scene, Bilbo's birthday, Aragorn's introduction, Gandalf and Saruman's fight, Arwen's water scene. We talked about the Council of Elrond forming the Fellowship. We talked about the Watcher in the water and the battle of the trolls in the mines. We talked about Gandalf's fight with Balrog and his famous line, "You shall not pass." We talked about Galadriel's temptation towards the ring. And then we closed it out, of course, with Boromir's death and the temptation of the ring. and the breaking of the Fellowship, and Frodo and Sam leaving with just them two. But Eduardo, I think this was a successful episode. Anything you want to close out with?
No, man, that was fun. Like I said, we kind of went into a little bit deeper stuff with, like I said, the characters' weapons and stuff like that. A little bit more of who they are. And then, yeah, like I said, we went through pretty much all the major scenes. Like we had mentioned, I mean, it's tough not to go through every single scene throughout the whole movie because everything's just so iconic and stuff like that. But again, like I said, we'd be here all day talking about it. Um, and I mean, not that we wouldn't love to, but like I said, we can definitely circle back, and I'm sure, like I said, we'll talk about Lord of the Rings again at some point. So, but yeah, man, that was a good episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and then also, go back and watch the complete guide episode, which went in a little deeper, more depth, and stuff like that on that episode as well. But now we appreciate you guys tuning in, appreciate the support, and hope you guys, like the content that we're providing you.
Absolutely, man. Could not have said it better myself. Stay tuned. There's more on this series coming your way. We got 2 more films coming and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. All types of good stuff. So please stay tuned and check those out when they are coming out. But with that being said, me and Eduardo is going to leave you all, and I hope you all have a good night. And until next time, we will talk to you all later. Peace out.
Peace.